Imagine a spiritual welcome letter that literally promises to cure your loneliness by, well, plugging you into a 36-dimensional universe. Sounds wild, right? Today on The Explainer, we're unpacking a deeply complex and incredibly unique manifesto from a movement known as Lifechanyuan. If you've ever wondered how on earth someone could blend cosmic concepts, diverse global religions, and our basic human desires into one ultimate utopian vision, you are absolutely in the right place. We're going to look closely at the source text, translate some of its really unique vocabulary, and map out its wildly ambitious vision of the universe. Let's get into it. You might expect a text like this to start with a bunch of cosmic jargon, but it actually opens with a classic, evocative quote. A lonely stranger in a strange land would miss his family all the more. The author, who goes by the name Deiform Celestial, uses this to ground a highly abstract theology and a universal human emotion. They're essentially offering a cure for loneliness. By framing their movement as a newly built home for the soul, where strangers from all over the world can finally become neighbors and family, they set a really emotional stage for the grand journey ahead. To make sense of this massive worldview, here's our roadmap for the explainer. 1. Welcome to Lifechanyuan. 2. A blended spiritual cosmology. 3. The 8 ways of thinking. 4. A rule-free community. And 5. The 2013 destination. All right, let's start with section 1. Welcome to Lifechanyuan, exiting the Egypt of mind. So the manifesto frames this community as a brand new home for the human soul, and it gives us a very specific timeline right out of the gate. The author notes that after exactly 3 years and 7 months of twists and turns, the movement has finally reached what they call the Royal Road. They picture this green shade growing in a desert oasis, which marks the dawn of a new, idealistic era that mankind has supposedly been craving for a long, long time. And this brilliantly illustrates their core promise. It's an invitation to leave the Egypt of mind behind. Now, in this context, that's a metaphor for escaping the slavery of ordinary, vulgar human existence. It's a massive promise of total mental liberation, basically sublimating humanity's non-material structure and allowing your consciousness to just cruise freely in an infinite and boundless universe. Moving right along to section 2, a blended spiritual cosmology, merging prophets and dimensions. Here, the text reveals a wildly syncretic approach. Just listen to this list of distinct historical figures placed side by side. Jesus Christ, Buddha Shakyamuni, Muhammad the Prophet, Celestial Lao Tzu, and a supreme figure they call the greatest creator. In Lifechanyuan, you aren't just choosing one path. Instead, they are blending all these diverse teachings into a single, unified cosmic curriculum. It's this massive, sweeping integration of the world's major belief systems under one roof. To truly grasp how this works, we have to understand their jargon. Specifically, what is a Chanyan celestial? Well, this is an initiate who has transcended ordinary reality after having their concepts baptized by the group. And here is where it gets totally mind-bending. The text asserts that your mental state directly determines your physical existence across a massive 36-dimensional space. So your thoughts literally dictate your reality across dimensions. Crazy, right? This builds a literal passageway through time and space. The manifesto outlines a clear ladder of ascension. Step 1 is the 1,000-year world, Step 2 is the 10,000-year world, and finally, members reach the celestial islands continent of Elysium. It's structured as a definitive climb toward an ultimate utopian era. Which brings us to section 3, the 8 ways of thinking, the roadmap of heaven. So how do you actually get to this cosmic destination? Well, the document creates a highly specific, almost academic curriculum for spiritual elevation by assigning cosmic roles to different teachers. For instance, Chinkun Buddha explains the body, Taiji Buddha teaches mental state, Foshan Buddha breaks down consciousness, and Master Tianlai focuses on the varying paths. It's a highly organized, step-by-step approach to enlightenment. From there, the tourist guide Deiform Celestial proposes a framework of 8 specific ways of thinking, ranging from matter and visualized thinking, all the way to Taiji and holographic order thinking. Enlightenment here isn't just about blind faith, It's presented as a rigorous, multifaceted cognitive exercise. Mastering these distinct mental models acts as the definitive roadmap to heaven. But there is a crucial caveat here. The masters stress that the absolute core of this practice is a total psychological rewiring. It's not just about obtaining exceptional functions or supernatural abilities. The primary goal is internal transformation. However, and this is a big however, the text confidently predicts that because of this deep mental shift, members with supernatural abilities will naturally begin to appear in the near future. Let's look at Section 4, a rule-free community operating on conscience. Now, this is where we encounter a massive paradox. We have this highly structured, multidimensional universe, but it's governed locally by absolutely zero rules. The text explicitly rejects traditional institutions with their executive leaders, strict rules, and defined duties. Instead, Lifechanyuan claims to operate with no rules, no administrative leaders, and no obligatory duties. It's supposedly driven purely by the inclinations of the heart, where members just meet and leave by chance.
So you're probably wondering, how does a community actually function without rules? Well, the text claims order is maintained exclusively through an internal moral court of conscience. It relies entirely on 4 self-guided steps: self-reflection, self-punishment, self-correction, and self-accomplishment. The idea is that the community is entirely self-governed by the individual's moral compass, fiercely insisting that absolutely no one can impose their will on anyone else.
And finally, Section 5, the 2013 destination, the ultimate goal. Everything we've discussed so far builds up to this sense of eschatological urgency. The blended cosmology, the transformed ways of thinking, the rule-free community, it all culminates in the journey to the Celestial Islands continent. The text frames the entire movement's purpose around preparing its members to travel to this highest state of being, all so they can enjoy the eternity of life.
And here is where the ticking clock comes in. The text abruptly brings up the year 2013. Quoting Confucius on the preciousness of time, the author declares that 2013 is a fast-approaching deadline. They urge readers not to hesitate because, as they say, opportunity knocks but once. It's a really sudden, jarring pivot from eternal cosmic timelines to immediate, urgent action.
So what does this all mean? Does the complex cosmic promise of Lifechanyuan ultimately just reflect humanity's timeless, universal search for belonging? When you strip away the 36 dimensions, the 8 ways of thinking, and the strict deadlines, why do these dense utopias appeal so strongly to people? Perhaps it all comes back to that very first quote, the deep-seated desire of a lonely stranger, simply looking for a place to call home. Definitely something to think about.